Hello everybody and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Welcome back. I realized when I was making these, I'm showing how to move the robot around. I never really showed anyone how a hydraulic cylinder robot can move. And I thought I would do a series of videos about that. And this video is a sort of a housekeeping video because there's some stuff that I left out that I wanted to mention. And so that's what this is all about. As I show moving the robot around, I think there might be people who would say, you know, the robot people don't talk much about hydraulic cylinders moving the parts of a robot. And they might say, I don't really have very much knowledge about that. I don't know how it would work. And I'm perfectly happy for you to learn it. I think it's important. And these hydraulic cylinders can allow a robot to move much, much closer to the mimicking of a human robot. And so I have put together, you can have, this is in SketchUp, you can have SketchUp create an FBX export, that's the transfer format, so that you can download that FBX and bring it into your 3D drawing program, and you yourself will be able to do all of this with your own program. I think there may be other robot people who say, well, of course Dr. Gray is showing all this and it works great, but it's his robot in his program and he's running it, and so it may be working so well because he's doing it. And if we had other people, you would see that it doesn't work. And my reply is, I'm showing what I think is completely possible and could be real. And you're welcome to download this program and run it with your own program. See for yourself. The other thing is, I tend to make my drawings where they do not have an inherent scale. So I made the robot 5 feet tall to be a human mimicking robot, but you could make it 2 feet tall as long as you scale the entire robot. Everything should work fine. And I made it out of metal so that it was durable and could be used by the military, but you could 3D print this entire robot and all of these parts. And these need bearings if it's metal, but if it's plastic, you could probably just drill a hole in this and put a bolt in there. And now you have a completely functional version of the robot. I mean, you don't have pressurization of these hydraulic cylinders, but you can move it around and show yourself that it really does imitate a human being. And I mean, before we go further, there's one other thing that I like to do with the videos. And I've shown you this before. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I really am. I have a YouTube channel. I invite you to subscribe. I have a website. I have a page. This is Give the Robot a Hand page. That's where all this hand stuff is. And I always want to tell people, when you're talking about physically real items, any physically real item could potentially hurt somebody. You should manage a physically real item in a manner that is legally allowed and reasonable and safe. And if you can't manage it in that way, then my advice is do not create it as a physically real item. And the other thing I like to do, if I can, is just to see what Bing has for us today. This is San Jim, I don't know how to say Italian, in Tuscany. It's just some houses. The people have put their clothing out to dry. And it's the land of Italy around Tuscany. And this is how Autodesk imports it into Maya. Now, I've found, I think it looks better with a little less brightness. It lets you see details better. And you can turn down the gamma and use this coloration. Now, I will tell you, you need to use hardware texturing. I have an NVIDIA card. If you want your CPU to texture this, it's going to really, really slow it down. The FBX is a zip file, so you have to download that and then you have to extract it. I think in Maya, this could be rigged. Rigging would be so nice. If it was rigged, then you can do inverse kinematics and move it around without having to do all the work that you do in SketchUp. I do think that rigging is a difficult task to learn. I think this would be a very hard robot to rig. I do think we should try to get the AI people to do rigging. What a great thing that would be. Just say, look, I'm going home for the weekend. Please rig this robot. And anybody that wants to do that, you are welcome to use my robot. I don't mind at all. It seems to me like the AI capabilities and resources are being used for things like allowing AI to show you what a computer thinks an image would look like. And that just seems fake to me. I don't know why anybody would care. Another use, I think, for AI is to make these AI companions. You know, somebody that talks to you and is your friend. And again, I'm thinking, why are they using the technology and resources of AI to do that? It's not that hard to come up with an imaginary friend. I will, just for fun, I'll create 2 of them for you. Grand total of time that I spent working on it, 20 seconds. So let's look at our AI friends. You know, the lady of France, who's wonderful and happy and smiles, laughs at your jokes. She wears a lipstick that makes her look luscious. And there's days she puts on the everything, the necklace and the jewelry and the makeup and the long dress and high heels. And there's other days where she's just wearing a beat-up t-shirt and sweatpants, but she talks to you and laughs at your jokes, and occasionally she has a sparkle in her eyes, and she might some days say, well, I don't think I agree with you, but you can tell by that little smile on her face that she's not mad at you, she just doesn't agree with you. And that's the AI female companion that is chewing up a lot of AI resources. And I'm male, so I have no idea what the AI companion is for women. You know, you can imagine, let's see, a guy, he's run part of a big company, he runs it, he owns it, he and his brother and his father built it, there's good income, he certainly can get on the computer and do spreadsheets and go to board meetings, but he also likes to be part of the workers, and he'll go to the construction area and pick up cinder blocks and move them around, and he'll lift up the scaffolding and can walk across the muddy area. And there are certainly times when it's complex and it's the system and structures down there in the work area are fighting and making it, and he just picks it all up and knocks it apart and makes it stop being a problem. And of course, he never does really take care of his hair or adjust it or touch it with his hands. And he wears these clothes. They look good, but they're kind of loose fitting, so the women cannot quite figure out just how muscular is this guy or not. And again, I am completely making this up. I have no idea. But in my opinion, I want my robot to be rigged by AI. And I mentioned all this, and the crowd of men and women waiting for their AI companion said, sir, back of the line, we got here before you did. All right, and I guess I'll get down off of my soapbox and stop talking about AI. I do want to talk about, there's another issue. There's a group of people, I call them the nose in the air people. They have training, usually, in something, education or experience. For example, mechanical engineering or robotics or programming. And if you speak to them about robots, first they get their nose pointed up in the air a little bit, and then they say, well, since you have no training in robots, whatever you're saying has no meaning and it's not worth listening to or talking about. That's the nose in the air people. And one of the comments of the nose in the air people on robots is there's no sense in paying any attention to hydraulics, hydraulic cylinders, and human mimicking robots because there's a delay, there's a lag, and so it's not going to work. And I just wanted to show you this. This is a well-known physiology demonstrator. And this guy, the green hand, I call this one up here the green hand, that's a dollar bill. Now, I didn't model a dollar bill because you're not supposed to. It's the same size and shape. And the green hand is holding the dollar bill and says, look, I'm going to let go of this dollar bill, and if talking to the purple hand, if you can grab it, then you can have it. And the purple hand is like, yeah, go ahead. And the green hand needs to sort of talk, tell stories, make some jokes, just get purple hand listening. And as that's going on, green hand lets go of the dollar bill, and it will almost always simply go right through those fingers, and purple hand won't grab it, which is a big surprise to purple hand and everybody watching. And the reason for this is light hits the dollar bill, is reflected to the eye. The eye creates neural impulses from that light and sends it to the visual cortex of the brain. And when it happens, the eye says, or the visual cortex says, hey, the dollar is dropping. And it sends a note to the management side of the brain. The brain sends a note to the cerebellum, that's where the muscle control is, and tells the cerebellum, send out the grip action. And the grip action leaves the cerebellum, goes to the brain, through the brain, to the spinal cord, to the nerves of the arm, down the arm, to the intrinsic muscles of the hand. They begin synthesizing energy chemicals so they can contract, and the intrinsic muscles of the hand, of purple hand, contract these two fingers together to make a pinch. And that sequence simply takes longer than it takes for the dollar bill to drop through the fingers. And that's a physiological lag. It's part of human anatomy and physiology. And so when the nose and ear people tell you, don't even think about hydraulic cylinders, there's a lag, you can reply to them, human beings have a lag. And by the way, the lag in a hydraulic system is completely adjustable. It just depends on how you set it up. So that's just something to remember. I'm pretty confident before I really can make the point about hydraulic cylinders, at least for the nose and the ear people, that I'm going to have to get some cylinders and show that what I'm talking about is feasible. I do have a discussion going with a prototype company in Asia, and they might make the parts for me that, not this robot, but they might make the parts for me that would allow me to show how this works. And I did mention I have that download. It's a free download of the FBX file that allows you to have this robot on your 3D drawing program. And I've pulled up my website, and you go to discussions about a piston robot, and then you go to give the robot a hand, and that's the page. And here is that image, and here is this FBX file that we've been talking about. You click on this, it will download it for free. I try to put all my YouTubes about the hand on this page also. You could scale it down to 2 feet tall and print it with the fiber infused spool plastic 3D printing. And all of these places here where there are shafts and bearings, I think you could just drill a hole in the plastic and you would have this robot to satisfy yourself that it works. And she is giving me the message. She's got holding up the clock. She has a note she's showing me, and the note, let's see, there's 2 sentences. The first sentence is, you are out of time. And the second sentence is, do I have a link for that AI male companion? She's gone over to the rebel side. Wait, she's writing on the note. It's the third sentence. It says she just wants the male companion for a couple of hours on Saturday, one time only. And I'm like, right, of course. Anyway, I'm out of time, so we'll go back to moving the robot around. I just wanted to do some housekeeping stuff.